except for
Is that what's going on right now?
Yeah, that's who they are. That's what's up. Well, New York is actually New Jersey, because it's at the Meadowlands. But New Jersey is kind of freaking out a little bit to make sure their transit is ready for the BTS fans, because they're coming in by air, and they'll be taking a lot of trains in, and New Jersey's starting to freak out now. Like, holy shit, what the hell did we just get into? Apparently, this BTS group is a big deal.
Like monumental?
Yeah, like huge. Like Backstreet Boys when we were younger.
Well, I was never into that shit.
No, but every girl you knew had a poster on her wall.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's a very true statement.
Yeah, well, the young generation, this is their Backstreet Boys, and you can't understand a damn word they say. I mean, they're Koreanese. I don't speak Koreanese, so
I don't know what you're going for here, bro.
I don't know. If you're Korean out there, forgive me. I don't speak Koreanese, and if that's a wrong word, then I'm sorry.
I'm guessing Koreanese is probably not the right. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I don't know. You got Chinese, Japanese, Koreanese.
Okay, yeah, I get where you're going with that. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, I don't know. I'm probably wrong, but I don't give a shit.
So we got Johnny going to that concert, right?
No, Johnny got out of it. Party Foul Johnny got out of it. Yes, I guess a friend has been wanting to go see them, and so they get the extra magic ticket, and Johnny gets to stay home, and he is elated about it.
What?
Yeah. As soon as he listens to this episode on Thursday, he's gonna be jumping on the phone, getting in touch with both of us, and like, man, thanks for the shout out on the BTS. I'm proud, man. I'm proud. I don't have to put up with that shit.
Well, hey, if you're a parent going to that concert, props to you, man, because whatever it takes to keep your kids happy. I am under the firm belief right now. I don't even know if we want to get into this, but I'm under the firm belief it doesn't matter how you raise your kids; they're going to do whatever they want to do,
dude.
And maybe we're going to spin off something that people don't want to hear, but God, I mean, I'm telling you right now, that's just how I feel.
We did an amazing job of raising our kids, you and I, and yet they still got taken over by the snowflakes and the hipsters, man.
I'll tell you, man. I mean, we've touted it, we've teased it. Anybody that follows me on Instagram knows about my son, and I'll just say this right now, man, without trying to sugarcoat it. You got a family member that's dealing with an opiate addiction. You bust their ass to save her from it. That's all you can do. But you guys, everybody's going through shit, and the one thing I'll say is, you press on, man. You press on, because people like me and Tiddy are pulling for you, and you just make the right thing happen, man. How do you feel? Where you stand on that, Tiddy?
Yeah, I still find it hard to believe that the kids of today are turning out the way they are. At least for the parents that raised them right, because this next generation has turned into a completely entitled generation. They feel like they are entitled to everything, and they don't want to have to work for it. Now, granted, our kids, your son, my kids, all grew up with extremely good work ethic, and they do work their butts off. But I have a hard time, even in my business, hiring young people because they don't want to work. They don't want to bust their ass. They want it given to them.
And I have a hard time with that, because my son, even in the struggles he's had, my son has a good work ethic.
He does. He busts his ass.
He busts his ass. He'll work his ass off, even when he's doing shit that's not copacetic to the way things are supposed to be, the way you live your life. But my son's got a good work ethic, and I think that somewhere along the way, how we raised our children, that got lost, and I think that's part of the problem.
Did it get lost, or did everybody just become sheep?
Well, and I ask myself that every day. And maybe that's part of the problem. You mentioned my trip to Walmart earlier in the week, and the one thing I do know is people that are going through really hard times in life, sometimes there's things that ground them to that, and maybe it's PTSD, maybe it's just the way they were raised, but you deal with hard times, and it definitely affects how people perceive you.
Well, let's get into the PTSD thing, because that's, when we were young, that's something that didn't exist.
Well, there was no such term as that when we were young.
Right.
I've experienced, you and I both have experienced things in our life that we have ended up with what they call PTSD. And it can be something that drastically affects your life if you let it. Right. I'm not minimizing it. I mean, we got 22 veterans a day that are taking their life because of it. And that in itself should shock a lot of people. It should shock anybody that listens to this statement. And Tiddy and I both have had times in our life that we deal with, and we're going to have more times that we do. I just want people to understand that if you are around people that deal with that, you have to be at a point in your life you can console them and get them through those times.
Yeah, don't be the antagonist. And that's generally what happens at Walmart. And of course, they don't know you have PTSD. They don't know you're having a hard time around the crowd.
You keep going back to Walmart.
Well, I have to bring it back because, I mean,
unfortunately, and Tiddy keeps referring to past week, which this is Tuesday that we're recording this. Last Friday, I did go to the grocery store with my mother, who was in tow, and I had a PTSD moment. And the thing that's really shocking about that is how people don't understand that love you, and they don't know how to deal with it, and they say things that demean it. And
pick yourself up by the bootstraps. God dang it!
Yeah, you got to take a deep breath and get yourself through it. But I mean, if you are a person that deals with somebody that's handling PTSD, you got to understand that a lot of the ways they react is not something they can control. Right. You know what I mean? I mean, I've seen Tiddy spin off and act in ways that he wasn't in control of. I've tried to talk him down, and vice versa. He's done it for me probably 4 times than I can count. But if you guys are dealing with anybody that has PTSD, if you are a person that has PTSD, you guys press on, man. I mean, and if you're that person that's dealing with that person that's dealing with it, just be, I guess, consoling is the best word you can come up with that.
Well, I can say that there's lots of help out there available. If you have PTSD, you need to be talking to a counselor about it. Getting through it's the biggest thing. I mean, getting through it's the biggest thing. I've got years and years and years and years of psychiatric help, and it helps a bunch. They kind of get down to the root of the problem. And granted, there's certain times a year that'll kind of set me off and spin me out a little bit. But, I do my best to gather myself together. My wife is amazing. She calls herself my service human. Yeah, seriously, because she can kind of pick up on it, and then she can focus me. She has the ability to just focus me, and it's amazing. Not everybody has that luxury. So for me, it's not bad.
Look at the big picture, man. Be thankful. Be very thankful, because if you're alone, it's a totally different ball game. And anybody who's listening to us right now, especially veterans that are listening to us, and if you get in that spot, you email us, or you find a way to contact us on social media platforms. I have my phone with me all the time.
Or just contact somebody.
Yeah, I mean, let somebody know you're struggling, because I hate the fact that there's 22 veterans taking their lives a day because of this. And anybody that's dealing with somebody don't take it lightly.
No, definitely don't take it lightly. This is serious stuff that we're talking about. Everybody who, if you don't have a veteran in your family, you have a friend that has a veteran in their family. It's that close. So, with the way these kids are coming back with deployment after deployment after deployment, they're at a level almost worse than Vietnam when it comes to major head games that are played while they're overseas, because there wasn't a lot of IEDs in Vietnam. Now there were explosives and there were mines and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But these kids are dealing with car bombers and suicide bombers and everybody shooting guns at them, and it's not a conventional war, so it's completely different, and it screws them up in the head. But going back to their PTSD, I completely understand it, and with your PTSD meltdown in Walmart, I want to kind of go back to that and kind of walk me through where you were at and what was going on, because you made it out of there with pretty much nothing.
Well, no, it wasn't pretty much. It was very much, yeah, and everybody knows that listens to us on a basis. I have some shitty things happen in Walmart, and I went out to a little town that's outside because they have a grocery store that just happens to have a great deal of meat. They have butchers on staff, and I bought a bunch of meat. Well, when we left there, my mother was with me, of all people. My mother was with me, and when we left this store in this little town, I had other stuff to gather up. I had other shit to get for groceries.
Right.
And she made the statement, hey, there's a super Walmart right next door here. Let's do this. Well, we pulled in there, and there was a lot of there, and there were people shopping. And so I tried to buckle down and do it, and it was just one of those trips that people in Walmart are in your personal space, and I don't know about everybody else, but it was freaking me out, and I started getting wound up.
Well, you're in a special line anyways, because there's only one line you can get a can of Copenhagen at.
Yeah, you got to get a can of tobacco in certain lines of Walmart, so I have to go through this. And God bless her, the poor lady working the checkout stand, she's doing the best she can, and she's trying to make her job everything it is. And she's reading labels off of produce and putting it on the scale, and then telling stories about her grandson graduating.
I mean, friendly as F.
Oh, I mean, just being, customer service out the wazoo, which was not her fault. And like I said, man, great props to her, because she was getting ready to catch the brunt of everybody else I was dealing with. But I had been in line for over 20 minutes, and I'm the second person in the line. When it came down to it, my mom bought her stuff in a much longer line and got through it. And I just basically just threw the towel in, and I was like, hey, we're bouncing. And my mom was upset about it, because the poor lady was an older lady, and she's working a job she probably has to work. And things just went south. And it was no other reason for that to happen other than my PT. And I was literally to the point I wanted to punch people in the face, and I kind of flipped out and left my groceries. And God bless her, she'll probably never hear the podcast. But I'm sorry. I left my groceries on the conveyor belt. I tried to bounce out of there, and my mother was living with me. I mean, people don't understand that, like, when you get in that predicament, things are really south. They're really sideways. And it's not throwing a fit. It's not being a child. It's not any of those things. It's just the fact that you can't take anymore, and you have to remove yourself from the situation. So my story to anybody listening to this, dealing with somebody with PTSD, or if you have PTSD, to recognize those things and let those people leave those situations without there being any repercussions from it. And Tiddy, you've been in that spot. You know what it's like.
Yeah, a lot of that was fueled by people not understanding. Just as simple as that. Now, one thing that is funny about this story that he didn't tell is when he got home, his mom was helping him out of the car, and made the meat deposit in the yard.
My mom made quite the spectacle of helping me.
That was funny.